You're listening to Well Met,
a
Hearthstone podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com.
Well met.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 71 of Well Met. We are a Hearthstone podcast from BlizzPro.com. From Denver, Colorado, I am John Horstman, and with me, of course, is the crew. First, from Saskatoon, Canada, it's Kevin Obdestad. Hey, Kev.
Hey, John. It's going to be a big one. Obviously, some crazy things going on in the wide world of Hearthstone this week, so
yes,
we have
indeed.
a pretty serious set of conversations ahead of us.
We do, man. It's been a blast just this last couple days with everything going on in Hearthstone. I can't wait for us to be able to talk about it. Next, from Kansas City, it is Mr. J.R. Cook. Hey, J.R.
Hey, John. No, I'm really excited for this show. Just imagine the scene right now. In my room, disco ball, me with a Jerry curl going on with some nice sideburns, some Elvis awesome glasses, gold chain, playing some disco music. It's going to be a good time.
I have one reaction for that, and that's...
Oh, God.
I don't think I can handle that one.
It's going to happen next week.
It's going to happen?
I think he just described his BlizzCon cosplay.
There it is. All right. I would be down for that. I'm picking up on what you're putting down. Well, guys, we've got an incredible show. We don't have a lot of time to do it in. For those just joining us or listening on the audio version, we just finished up our first ever Well Met Jeopardy with Disguised Toast. It's going to be coming on the podcast feed. Should already be there. You might have skipped over it because you like the show better, or you might have already watched it. We're not going to spoil anything here, but we do want to say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you to our Patreon and our patrons who made this happen. Because in the end, the extra bonus show was because of you guys and your support. We put in a lot of time and effort to make it happen because we're really passionate about it. But the fact that you guys have clearly voted and said we want more Well Met content is just so humbling and amazing. So thank you guys for doing that. Kevin, anything else you want to say about Well Met Jeopardy, get people hyped and wanting to kind of get in there and listen to it? Or just anything in general?
I mean, it was a great segment. We had a lot of fun doing it. We had Disguised Toast, who, if you've been following Hearthstone at all for the last couple of years, used to do all the cool infographics, has a really sweet YouTube channel, does a lot of really great stuff for the community. I'm just a really nice guy to work with. He had a lot of fun on the show. We really loved having him out. And I think you're going to really enjoy listening to him drop some Hearthstone knowledge bombs if you take the time to listen to that. So definitely worthwhile. And yeah, just a big thank you to all of the patrons who've been supporting the show since we launched our Patreon. We've had that thing online now for about a year at this point. So we've got a year's worth of history of you guys telling us what you want from the show, keeping it going, letting us continue to improve the production quality, and we love it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. We're not even going to talk about our weeks in Hearthstone because we've got to move it forward a little bit. Let's talk about some news, shall we?
This week in Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
So, we're not going to tell you about what happened. We are going to show you and play the trailer for the upcoming Hearthstone adventure, One Night in Karazhan. Here we go.
Your host, the great Magus Medivh, invites you back to party down with me.
Come inside, meet your friends at the door. We've got a feast like you've never seen before. Shake your stuff to our musical beat. Play life-size chess, but don't you dare cheat. Most of all, throw your worries away.
Okay, for real. How amazing is that freaking trailer? Is that not the coolest thing that they've done yet?
That was
ever since they introduced adventures, right back to the very first one, we sat here as the three of us back when we recorded the first couple of episodes talking about Black Rock Mountain, even being like, man, you know, it'd be awesome. A Karazhan adventure. We've been waiting for this literally since we started this podcast. And on top of it being from one of the coolest dungeons and some of the coolest storyline that's ever been done in the Warcraft setting, it's also this crazy 70s disco themed thing. I love it. I think this is probably thematically maybe the best thing that they've ever done for this game.
I'd agree. What do you think, JR?
I like how it felt like they kind of took, Naxxramas or Black Rock Mountain and took a raid and then took the theme of League of Explorers and, taking their own little route with it and making it their own thing with this, 70s theme and disco and all that, and made what that was. And I was just watching the video going, wow, are they really doing this? What's this going to be named? And then they show, One Night in Karazhan. I'm like, they really went there? I mean, I'm all in. I'm all in. It was.
Yeah, I was chatting with some Blizzard people on Twitter the other day, actually, and they were saying that, like, one of the things that the designers are really keen on is Hearthstone having its own identity, right? And that became really apparent back around League of Explorers. Like, Goblins vs. Gnomes was kind of playful and fun, but didn't really have a story to tell. It was just tribes more than anything, right? And then you got into Black Rock Mountain, which was very serious. You got into the Grand Tournament, which was kind of like a spin on an old WoW theme, but didn't really have its own thing going. And now the last several sets have all been uniquely and distinctly Hearthstone, right? This is something that has only the loosest amount of content that relates it back to what it was in Warcraft, in the sense that you'd recognize some names or some artwork, but it's its own very unique, chic thing. And like, I love it. I think they did such a cool thing making this into a party theme, and especially coming off the back of Whispers of the Old Gods, which we really lauded at the time for this kind of cool, dark, like, travel back into like the really rich atmosphere of like the tavern and the spooky things going on. Now we get to go back to the other side and do something that's just fun and uplifting. Like, I'm really glad. I can't imagine anything that I would have been happier to have come out right now.
Totally agree. So let's give you a couple of the details on the next expansion. It's launching on August 11th. So we had the 9th and the 14th were the days that we said it was going to come out. So split down the middle. Good job, guys. If it were Jeopardy, we'd split the points. So very good. There's going to be 45 cards, 4 wings, 13 bosses, and of course an exclusive card back for pre-purchasing. I think I'm missing one of the card backs because there's 3, right? Well, actually, no, there's 2. So there's the Grand Invitation, which if you're watching the video, you'll see it's the one on the right. That's the one you get for that was this week's. Actually, I can't even remember how this goes. Do you get one of you guys have the card back straight? No, it's okay.
I haven't been paying attention to the.
Well, no, okay. So the one is for the purchase, right? You get the one if you buy. There is no pre-order like there would have been for.
You just have to buy
new expansions
within the first week.
So it's for buying. I think it might be the first 2 weeks. I don't remember the exact
first week.
time
I
frame.
do know that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's the one is for that, and then the other one I think is just for play for that month, or might be the heroic completion one.
So the one we don't have, I think it's called the Blue Portal. I saw it on Hearthstone first, where it wasn't even colored yet, but they think that might be the heroic card back. I believe the one on the right is the invitation one, and that's this month's the prize for this month. The one on the left is the one you get for ordering within the first week. That's how it goes. Yeah. Anyways, whatever. You guys don't really care which one's which. Go look it out. It's on all the websites who are much more accurate in information than us. And so that's good. Yeah. We've got that. And then what else are we? Oh, yeah. Purchase details. So let's take a look. Purchase details. No surprises really here, except that you get a prologue for free, which is pretty neat. All 4 wings, as is traditional, it's $20. If you already own a wing, it's $15. If you already own 2 wings, it's $10. Individual wings are $7 or 700 gold each. None of that, as far as I can remember, has changed.
No, it's all the same as it always has been.
So that's really the big
other
things
than the
here.
prologue, right? The prologue is a new way for them to let people play with some of the content without purchasing it, which I think is a really smart move on their part. Because
they did that for Nax Ramus, right? You got the first wing for free in Nax, and then they never really brought it back. I'm glad to see them kind of come back to the middle and at least give us something, entice us with why we want to play these adventures. So I'm really excited about it. What do you guys think? Any other thoughts on this, or do we want to hit the one last piece of news and then go into our card reviews?
That's probably good.
Yeah.
All right, that's probably good. Well, JR, I know you've been playing around with this a little bit. We just got an update for the PC clients, the Battle.net. I believe this is the beta, right? So you have to be in the Battle.net beta. But what's going on there?
Yeah, so they sent out invitations this week for the Battle.net beta for streaming. And the very first one that they're doing is Facebook. So you can actually, if you're invited to the beta, you can actually load up your Battle.net client. I got to play around with this a little bit this week, and it's kind of cool. You get this little icon, and it's very, very simple to just hit that, put in your information. There's not a lot of options because they keep it very simple, and then you just pick the game you want to play, go, and it starts streaming on Facebook. You can have your video camera set up, your mic or your microphone. You can have both of them off if you want. One of the options is you can choose to have your desktop audio or just game audio only, which is kind of nice as well. So they just keep the options very simple. And I think it's pretty cool that a lot of people are kind of complaining because they're focusing on the Facebook streaming. And remember, this is a partnership that they made with Facebook about a month or so ago. We talked about it a little bit on the show back then. But I think this opens up the game to more people because as people try this out and as people stream this on Facebook, it might go out to people that may not play Hearthstone or may not play Heroes of the Storm or Overwatch, and they see their friends playing. They're like, oh, what's this game that you're playing? And then it gets them involved to watch their friends and then possibly get into the game themselves. I haven't heard anything yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this hit like YouTube gaming, Twitch as well, and they have these little built-in tools. What makes it really nice is how simple it is. You don't need a third-party software or anything like that to get into streaming. You just hit a button, select a few options, you're good to go.
How did it affect your gameplay, if at all? Do you know, were you like dropping frames where when you're using OBS or XSplit, it's very clear that like the amount that your computer is capable of is greatly decreased depending on what you're playing. Did you notice that at all, or is it just like straight going through?
I haven't had a chance to play it on anything intensive yet, like Overwatch or World of Warcraft or anything like that. I only played it on Hearthstone, so I didn't personally notice anything. I do know I have watched a few streams, and I have I watch mine as well. And the quality that you are streaming at isn't as good as what you're gonna get, using OBS on Twitch or something like that. It is definitely downgraded, so it's a little more fuzzy and things like that. But it's for what it was. It's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a button, basically. They've made it really simple, which when I had internet problems last night, the first thing I was trying to do is make sure like my XSplit and OBS settings were okay. And like that was That was awful. There was so many settings, which is good, but at the same time, I'm like, I can't even tell if half of these settings are wrong or if those are the defaults or whatever. So I think that was really neat to do. And keep in mind, a lot of people are thinking like, why would you ever go to Facebook and all this stuff? Facebook doesn't have a real track record in game streaming, but they've been doing other live streaming for a really long time. Well, actually, since August of last year. That's not a really long time, but about a year. And they've been really successful for it from their marketing platforms. The Rock, I know, is doing a bunch of stuff there and broke some live streaming records because of it. So it's doing well outside of gaming. Part of me thinks that it's Blizzard taking kind of a gamble with Facebook together to see if they can. Well, I guess Facebook trying to move into that space, using Blizzard for that to hopefully maybe try to do what YouTube gaming couldn't, and see if they can steal some of that market from Twitch. Kev, you're smirking over there. What do you think?
Well, okay, so two things, right? One, I want to piggyback on JR's earlier comment. I don't think that it matters that Facebook was the first platform that this was available for. I think the core of the technology is the ability for your computer via Battle.net to actively export your game along with simple webcam, simple microphone, desktop audio, all directly to a pre-hooked up stream that's connected to your account that requires nothing. No stream key, no third-party software, just works, right? You load up a game. When I launch Hearthstone or Heroes of the Storm, a little thing pops up in the corner of the screen built into the game that says push Control and F1 to start streaming. It's zero effort on the user's part. So long-term, when that comes to every platform, right, which presumably it will go to YouTube Gaming, it will go to Twitch, it will go to anything else that offers live streaming as it becomes available elsewhere. It's going to be, I think, a core way for Blizzard to actively make their games more accessible. And one of the things that we've honestly been asking for forever, more features and more integration within Battle.net itself. I wouldn't be shocked to see, Battle.net voice chat, Battle.net streaming, all these things sort of come together to become the primary way in which you make it really easy for your gameplay to be accessible to your friends or your family or whoever. Also, that said, a lot of people, we've talked in the past about things like if you want to get better at Hearthstone, going back and watching your own gameplay and saying, where could I have done better? What did I do wrong on that turn? And sometimes it's tough to do that with something like a recording of your turns in Tracobot. You just don't get to see the same information, or you want to go back and actually just watch your own play and your own decision making. Within the Facebook streaming settings that exist right now, there's a very simple drop-down option where you can check what audience your Facebook streaming is accessible to. If you're not going to use this feature to stream to your friends on Facebook, that's fine. Check only me. And now for every Blizzard game, you can just do an easy recording of your gameplay, of your own desktop audio. You can talk through your decisions and your turns and go back and have access to that recorded on Facebook. Now, the live stream may not be really high quality. It may not look really good, but you've got a really solid recording of what you were doing. And again, no third-party application, no difficulty. It's all right there.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing about that, though. The ability to choose your audience right now is not actually in the beta, or it wasn't when I was trying, but it is coming. That is something that they're adding.
I think it's there. Like, I was able to switch between whether I went to friends or only me.
So they might have switched it between the time that I got it. It wasn't at launch, but it might be there now.
Fight,
cool.
fight.
Anyway,
yes.
I'm just saying, utilize it for whatever purpose you want. I ran it for a little bit to see, and I would never use it for streaming right now. I can run a much cleaner, better stream on Twitch. But for the other potential use cases, I think it's great. I think it's a really easy way for people to go back and have simple VOD without having to try and run video recording software on their desktops. It's great. Like, I think it's simple, and it's going to be something that long-term clearly shows that we're going to see Battle.net go the same way as Origin and Steam and all of these other sort of multi-use pieces of software, not just where you go to click to launch your Blizzard games.
Right. Well, and so the last thing, and then we need to talk about these cards because we've got a lot of cards to talk about, is for Hearthstone players specifically. I think this is one of the most valuable use cases. What Kevin was bringing up is recording your own games, because in the past, especially once it goes to other platforms, but in the past, how it would work is you would need to load up a third-party piece of software, have a computer that could kind of do both, decide settings where you want it to go. You're running two pieces of software and do it. This one, you just hit a button. We get a lot of questions on the show, like, I want to know how I can get better at this specific matchup. Now imagine every time you're on the ladder and that matchup comes up, you hit Control F1, and then you just start, streaming that matchup, and then going back and just diagnosing that matchup versus looking through a 3-hour gameplay session. I think that's really cool too. So, all right, shall we go into the card reviews? I think we got a lot of cards to talk about, so let's go ahead and do it. I don't have a bumper filled out for this yet, so for the video listeners, you're getting the old one. The audio listeners, you're getting a new one.
Beat 'em or join 'em.
Oh, no.
All right, so let's go ahead and do a little card review action here. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. Of course, if you're on the video feed, you can see the cards up there. On the audio feed, we'll do our best to describe them to you. And let's get started. So first, we have Enchanted Raven. It's a 1-mana 2/2 Druid Beast. It's a common card with no card text. Just a 1-mana 2/2 that's a beast. I may be overhyped on this card a little bit, but this is potentially one of the most effective early game Druid cards that we're going to see, and we've seen in a long time. It's not exciting. It's not cool. It's not anything like fantastic, and it's not really meta shifting, but it reminds me a lot of like Living Roots, where it's going to just be a really strong card, especially with all the beast synergies that are in the game. This is one of the cards where I go, you might be able to see Beast Druid happen, especially if we see something else here in the expansion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's not the best card that's been revealed so far, but I think it's in there in the top 3, maybe 4. As you said, like, this could push Beast Druid into an actual deck, and the main reason for that is you play this on turn 1, and then on turn 2 you play Mark of Yasharaj, and you have a 4/4 Beast in play on turn 2, and that's really good. And then
Mech Warper right there.
Right. And that's one of the things that Beast Druid had never had yet, is it never had that early game setup. And now that we're getting that, maybe you'll start see it snowballing into a better deck. I don't think it's going to be top tier, but I think it's going to be
I'm going to let you finish, but Kevin, those facial contortions, come on, man. How do you disagree with an awesome 1-mana 2/2 beast for Druid?
It's junk. Literally unplayable. It's junk. In no circumstance would I play this card ever, because it's just a worse Living Roots. It has no flexibility. It has worse synergy with the Druid toolkit.
Why don't you run both?
I don't think you would play Enchanted Raven if you couldn't play it on turn 1. I think it's a valueless card right now within
it's
the
basically
context
like token. There's lots of ways to activate that like tokens for 1 mana.
But you've got so many more synergies with the spell, with Living Roots, with Fandral.
Oh.
You're better off in a lot of ways. You protect it from weapon removal. Like, there's all kinds of things. I would way rather play Living Roots than this card. I think the only way
they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, they're not the same.
The only way this card sees play is when Living Roots rotates out. Because as it stands, no one's going to play Beast Druid. No one can play Beast Druid until Night of the Wild works the way that Thing from Below works. Like, it's literally an unplayable archetype.
No,
but I think it's going to be playable with this. I don't think it's going to be awesome. I don't think it's going to be top tier. But at the same time, I don't think you play Beast Druid with Living Roots. I think you play this card with that, and you play Living Roots with token.
I could imagine like an aggro Beast Druid thing happening with some of the Druid of the Flame, other of those early cards. Like, imagine being able to stack those, throw a Fel Reaver in there on turn 5, and just be able to shorten up that. Man, it might happen, dude.
Or something? I'm confused.
Oh, that's right. That Fel Reaver was gnomes. But even still, man, there's a lot of different ways that you can make this work. Yes, we're being a little overly optimistic, but there is no way that this is an unplayable card. You're muted for the next 25 seconds. 25 seconds. JR, tell us about Ivory Knight.
Ivory Knight is a paladin card. It is a 6 mana, 4 attack, 4 health. It has a battle cry of discover a spell, restore health to your hero equal to the cost. And I feel there's two camps for this card. I think the biggest disagreements that people have for this card is a lot of people focus on the healing factor and what you get from that. And then I think other people focus on the draw card factor and what you get from that. And depending on what camp you're in, I think it's dependent on if you think this card is good or not. In the draw card, a lot of people are saying it's a lot like Ancient of Lore, or not Ancient of Lore. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different card. I take that back. No, I think it feels a lot like an Azure Drake is what I'm talking about, in a way that you get kind of that bonus card. You get that draw card factor, and then the healing is just a bonus on top of it. However, on the people that talk about the healing side of things, they point out that there's a lot of there's 11 1-mana spells, and so you have a really high chance of not getting the spell or not getting a good enough heal. But at the end of the day, like, the chance of getting something like Consecration or Lay on Hands or a card that you need or any kind of AoE spell, that draw card mechanic, I think is what makes this card good.
Okay. Kevin, your 25 seconds are up. So tell us about Ivory Knight. Literally unplayable.
I'm not super excited for it just because I think this doesn't help Paladin. It doesn't solve the Paladin problem, right? To me, I look at this card and I think, okay, it's a 6 mana. The average heal value is probably going to be okay. It's probably going to be close to 4 or 5 if you run the actual like math simulation on what you're going to be offered in a Discover. There's actually a very low chance that you'd offered all 1-mana spells, which I know is sort of the everybody's like awful worst case scenario. There's potential synergies with things like Bran, right? Like there's room for it to be not terrible. The problem is that on turn 6, it's competing for a slot with so many way more powerful cards. You're fighting up against like, in Paladin, you're fighting against Mysterious Challenger, right? Like there's so many things you can put down that are way better for tempo. And I don't think Paladin was shy on cards that put a body on the board and heal you. If this card was going to be good and viable, I think most people would just look at it and say, why wouldn't I play Guardian of Kings instead? Comes down a turn later, but it comes down with a consistent health amount, still a battle cry, still has the brand synergy, with a better body that trades more efficiently. So, I just don't see this as being exciting or doing something that Paladin can't do already.
So Kevin's favoring consistency a little bit here. I get it. Okay. Yep. JR, counterpoint. I want to hear yours, and then I'm going to tell you why you're both wrong.
I think Discover is a really good mechanic. And even though it's not the best body on the board, the fact that you have Discover and you can dig for a card that you might need makes it pretty good. Not amazing, but I can see it getting played in a mid-range Paladin deck, and I think the healing is just a bonus.
So this is where I think I'm going to side a little bit more with Kevin. The 4 health. That's all I need to say. Honestly, drawing a card, like, I don't think you run this card for the heal. I think that's just a bonus. I think you run it for the card draw and the body, and then the heal is just kind of there for it. But at 4 health, the only thing that I can't think of any playable card that it trades evenly with. That's mana wise. I mean, it gets cleared out by a 5 mana Azure Drake, right? And so there is one thing interesting, though. I haven't verified this myself, so this could not be a fact and somebody could have corrected it, but I saw on Reddit that with Ivory Knight, Paladin has more healing spells than or more healing mechanics than Priest.
That sounds about right.
Is that not like, is Blizzard losing the priest identity here? Is that something? Because I mean, that really shouldn't be it. Priest should be healing. Paladin should be kind of this hybrid weapon healing class, or with the tokens and things like that. Is this not a little bit weird to you guys?
I think it's fine. I think Paladin always had a lot of healing and that ability to sort of sustain itself. And I mean, Paladin was the class that originally did a lot of healing, a lot of sustain, was the class that was most likely to go to fatigue. Back in the day with Control Paladin, you always ran more healing than the Priest did. Priest, if anything, is really in need of ways to get on the board. It doesn't need more healing, right? So I think that this, though, for Paladin, doesn't fill a niche, right? Of all the Discover cards in the game, even comparable Discover cards, like I look at this and I compare it to Ethereal Conjurer, right, for Mage, and think the stat line on Ethereal Conjurer is better. It comes down a turn earlier. There's just this weird, because of the inconsistency, as you've correctly pointed out, it's making it so that it's not the best card in the game all the time when you draw Lay on Hands. But on the flip side, it ends up being a minion that is tempo negative because you've got to leave enough room in that mana cost to make up for the fact that you discover a spell and get to heal. So it's always going to be bad.
I want this card to be either 5 mana or have 6 health. Those are the two changes. If either of those
take away the heal. Like, take away the heal and just make it discover a spell and make it cheaper. You could knock a mana point off if it didn't have the heal. And then it would be fine. Like, a 5 mana 4/4 discover a paladin spell would be like a worse Grand Crusader or something, but it would be playable.
I think this can see play. I think this can see play in a mid-range paladin, control paladin, or Reno paladin.
Okay, we'll have to see. Is this JR's next bolster, or is he going to hit a home run on this one? Let's go into Kindly Grandmother. Grandpa, you want to go ahead and take this one? It's you, Kev.
Oh, what? You can see my grays. All right. So Kindly Grandmother is a 2 mana hunter minion, 1 attack, 1 health beast with a death rattle that reads, summon a 3/2 big bad wolf. The 3/2 big bad wolf that it summons is also a beast. Also worth pointing out for you Arena fans, this is a common. I think this is a really powerful card. It's definitely really good for the Hunter Death Rattle synergy. It's great in terms of the fact that both these cards are beasts, which means you've now got 2 cards, Kindly Grandmother and Infested Wolf, that have Death Rattles that leave beasts behind, which means all of your beast activated cards, whether that's Houndmaster, Kill Command, even if people wanted to go back and run Starving Buzzard, like I think there's a legitimate argument to be made that you could potentially get value out of that by playing it and then trading the minions that spawn new beasts. There's definitely a ton of really cool beast synergy possible here, and this is a card where you're getting some really positive tempo. The 1/1 token that you throw down on turn 2, not great, but it brings out a 3/2 beast minion, which is a 2-cost minion. So this is actually something that punches above its weight after you get that initial trade.
It's going to 2 for. It's at least going to take 2 cards to deal with that at any time. You might even get something even a little bit better, depending on, to your point, the beast synergy. No brainer. One of the best cards I think that we've seen so far. JR, last thoughts. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kev. Super obvious. What's super obvious
that this becomes the 2-drop of choice for Hunter right now, because right now, even in the Hunter decks that run a ton of Death Rattle and maybe use N'Zoth, to get a Death Rattle beast down on 2, they're playing like Toad, right? Just to have something that fills that spot. This is way better. And it's a good activator to be able to lay down in the late game. Like it doesn't have anything working against it.
Cool. Last thoughts, JR.
This is the best card we've seen revealed so far in the set, in my opinion. You guys nailed a lot of it. It has a lot of synergies. Beast, Death Rattle. Not to repeat a lot of those. I think there's 2 things that this card can do, though, is we might start seeing a Hunter Zoo deck, which could be pretty fun and compete with Warlock Zoo.
Kevin, nods yes. That's the first time I've seen that. Okay.
But if that doesn't play out, then this is just an early game solution to get to your Call of the Wild.
Yep. Slots easy in hybrid and mid-range. It'll immediately probably see play. Totally agree. Let's move on. So next up, we've got Ethereal Peddler. It's a 5 mana rogue rare minion. It's a 5 attack, 6 health minion. Reads, Battle Cry, reduce the cost of the cards you burgled from other classes by 2. Basically, this is to activate Burgle, right? That's the only real thing, unless we see something else for stealing cards.
Undercity Huckster.
Undercity Huckster, that's the other one. Thank you. To make those 2 cards work and basically make Rogue more like Priest with Mind Games and the other things. Just kidding. But kind of. Since Paladins are becoming Priests, might as well make Rogues do some Priest things too. Kevin, what do you think?
I will probably be the only person who really loves it, but I actually really like this card. A 5-mana 5/6 in terms of raw tempo is really, really strong. There's only 2 other cards in the game that can do that right now. And the battle cry effect to make the other cards less expensive, very obvious synergy with Undercity Huckster, which is being played in all tempo Rogue, almost all Rogue anyway. I don't think people are going to run like Burgle or Nefarian or a lot of those things, but even stuff like Journey Below in N'Zoth Rogue does technically have the ability to discover non-rogue class minions, which would get the benefit from it. And really, truthfully, if you look at the stat line, if you played that as a regular on-curve minion after your Undercity Huckster died, and all it does is discount the cards you're holding by 2 after being a 5/6 for 5, that's great. For a tempo play, like, you can't ask for better than that. You would play, if you could make that exact same play in something like a tempo mage, like, that's why you play Sorcerer's Apprentice, not because it's a good card, because it discounts a card slightly and just gives you that little teeny tempo advantage. I think this has the potential to be an auto include in tempo Rogue and finally move the needle on tempo Rogue away from using Gadgets and Auctioneer as your primary source of cycling, because you'll just play tempo. Like, you'll just play to have the biggest body on the board per turn that you can and get those like little synergies that let you get ahead of curve.
But I don't think you control your tempo though on this. If you're getting something with Undercity Huckster, or you happen to play Burgle for some reason, which I don't recommend playing Burgle.
You accidentally put a Burgle in your deck.
Right. Then I don't see how it's a good tempo play. Like, I feel like it's a little too slow. Yeah, the 5/6 is not bad, but I don't feel like I would get much value by just playing a 5/6 and then giving my 1 mana spell that I might have gotten from my other class to make it 0 cost or something like that. It just doesn't feel consistent to build a deck around that. I do think it is a build around card. I don't know if it fits into Tempo Rogue, but I do think it's a build around card where if we see more cards like this where rogues are actually stealing decks or cards from your opponent like they should have been from the beginning instead of Priest, then this card could potentially be a lot better. But right now, we just don't have the cards for it. We have, as I said, the only good card we have for it is Undercity Huckster, which you are playing on turn 2, and you're not playing this until turn 5.
You guys are talking a lot, so you guys need to slow it down a little bit. Just kidding. But I totally get what both of you guys are saying. In the end, it does trade with most 5 and 6 mana cards. The only thing that I would add is this feels like to me something we'll see played as some more rogue cards come out over the next 2 years. I think we might see it play more, but right now there's 2 cards to activate it. 2 times 2 is 4 cards. You really can't afford to just kind of keep that in your hand just to play Burgle before it. So you kind of have to hope that you can play that on curve. So that's it. All right, we're going to go into the next page. Before we do, though, we want to take a quick second and thank our patrons. Our patrons have been awesome. We want to thank our friends of the show, Martin Z, Albert T, The Real Ben, and Coral. We were supposed to do a show on July 31st, but because of that, we couldn't. So it's August 1st, but we're thanking you again anyway because it's your turn. If you want to know more what that's about and you want to support the show, head over to patreon.com/wellmetpodcast. And, of course, check out Met Jeopardy. That was our first one. And if it wouldn't be for our patrons, we would not have been able to do that. So thank you guys so much. Moving on here. We're going to go quick over these next 4. You guys ready? Surmise your thoughts. Get them ready because we're going to go. So first we have Melkazar's Imp. It's a 1-mana, 1/3 demon. Reads, whenever you discard a card, draw a card. It's also a common warlock minion. Kev, you like this card?
I think it's got potential. I mean, I think it's nice to see Warlock get something instead of Flame Imp for a turn 1 play, and better than Possessed Villager in terms of how it trades. I love the fact that you could play this into something like Succubus and have a really strong sort of early rotation. There's enough cards that play on discard now between Malchezaar's Imp, Tiny Knight of Evil, Soulfire, Fist of Draxus. I think there's just enough value there now that you could make the argument that it's worth trying. I don't know that it's actually better than just playing standard Zoo yet, but I like the concept and I like the synergy. And I think we've beaten the concept of discards to death. Everybody knows that discarding a card is not the end of the world. Fel Reaver killing half your deck wasn't the end of the world as long as you're getting okay value. This gives you the ability to just not hero power, in a discard driven Zoo deck, which is really scary because it can punch above its weight pretty well with things like Succubus.
Right. What do you think, JR?
Yeah, it's definitely a build around card. I don't see it being a going into Zoo. I think it's going to go into a hyper Warlock aggro deck. Cards that you're going to want to include into a deck like this would be Soulfire, Darkshire Librarian, Doomguard, Succubus, and just getting those powerful creatures out as fast as possible while also reloading your hand. The problem I have, though, with that being able to work is you have to be able to protect this guy somehow. I mean, he is a 1/3. He could easily get killed on turn 2. So depending on if you're able to protect him and get something going fast enough, we'll see if that works. If not, we may not end up seeing the deck that I'm talking about.
Okay.
The only question I have that I haven't seen addressed anywhere is, does this still trigger if you would have discarded a card, but you don't physically actually discard a card? Like if I play Doomguard on an empty hand, do I draw 2? I assume the answer to that is no.
No, because you have to physically discard a card.
Right, it has to actually trigger the discard. Right. Okay, that's what I thought.
Cool. Firelands Portal. Tell us about Firelands Portal, Kevin.
Sure. Yeah, Firelands Portal is it's the card that will break Arena yet again. It's a 7-mana mage spell, common, of course, that reads deal 5 damage and summon a random 5-cost minion. I love it. I think it's a great spell. I think this gives mage something to do on turn 7 that isn't Antonidas or Flame Strike. 5 damage is a nice spot where you can do something that isn't throw away your fireball. It is also direct damage, so it's not like it's minion only, which has been the problem with a lot of other spells like this. So it can just represent a way to, if you've got control of the board, get a little extra burn and a body on the board. I don't think there's a downside. 5-mana minions on average are going to mean that you get a good value out of this, and the variance is low enough that I don't see a reason why you wouldn't play it if you have room to use it. I think it's actually better, truthfully, than Faceless Summoner.
Interesting. What do you think, JR?
Actually, I'm very lukewarm on this card for Constructed. It feels too slow. Yeah, you get a 5 damage minion, but you're playing it on turn 7. At that point, yeah, 5 damage is great, but at that point, if you're doing that and also getting a 5 spell minion in there, there's probably something better that I want to play on that turn rather than this. I just think it's too slow for it. But if you want to listen to whining on how it's going to break Arena, then definitely go listen to Crip.
Oh, well, I'm going to say I'm cautiously optimistic about this card for Constructed. I think there's some really interesting things. I'd more than ever, we're not running bombs except for like your 10 mana cards. So yeah. So I'm cautiously optimistic about that. JR, you want to tell us about museum or the curator? Not museum, curator, thank God.
Yeah. So the curator is a legendary card, 7 mana. It's a 4 attack, 6 health. It's a mech. It has taunt, and it has a battle cry of draw a beast, dragon, and murloc from your deck. And this card is, I think this card is the best legendary card that we've had revealed so far. It's great for control decks. Maybe even finds its way into like Freeze Mage to get like Alexstrasza or something like that by turn 9. It's most likely going to be used with beasts and dragons. You're probably not going to see a lot of Murlocs associated with it unless there's a really good Murloc that you want to draw that we haven't seen yet. But I can see this being used with like the Kodo and then like a really good dragon that you're using with your deck. Even Azure Drake would be great. So a lot of people are... This was a card that I was talking about earlier where a lot of people are comparing it to Ancient Allure. So it's a 7-mana drop, and you could control what 2 cards you're going to draw. And that makes it really good, in my opinion. Plus the fact that it has Taunt. It's why I think it's the best legendary so far.
Cool. What do you think, Kev?
Well, I mean, yeah, sure. We can say it's the best legendary because it's the least worst legendary that we've seen so far. I don't think this is going to matter at all. 4/6 stat line on turn 7. We just finished talking about how summoning a 5-mana minion on turn 7 is too slow with Firelands Portal. At least that does something. It does damage, and so it's removal and a 4/6 body on the board. Now we've got a 4/6 body with Taunt that, if you haven't drawn them already, will draw you the Lone Beast and the Low Dragon that you've shoehorned into your deck so that you can take advantage of this Battlecry effect. And for most decks, the only things they're running are like an Azure Drake or they've shoehorned in a Kodo. I don't think this sees play. I don't think that for the average deck, unless you are specifically fishing up a finisher in the form of like an Alexstrasza or a Deathwing or a Malagos, I don't know that you would bother at all. And as soon as you've gotten something like you draw your Azure Drake, play it, and pull this out, now you're going, well, Battlecry is worthless. I'm never going to play a 7-mana vanilla 4/6.
I absolutely disagree with what you said, but I'm not even going to respond.
Okay, fair. I love it. I love the hostility. That's what people really love about our show. They go, I like to listen while I'm driving because I'm so on edge that I can't just relax and chill about a children's card game. So, well done, guys. I'm just kidding. I love when you guys argue. It's so cute. You're so cute when you argue, you know? Kev, you want to tell us about this last one? Or the last one on this page, I should say.
Sure. We've got another neutral legendary minion. Barnes is a 4-mana legendary minion, 3 attack, 4 health, with a battle cry that reads, summon a 1/1 copy of a random minion in your deck. It's very much a build-around card. You would want to make sure that you didn't play any minions that didn't have a strong effect to get that summon off of. It's kind of like an early game non-controllable Shadowcaster in a weird way. I think there's definitely potential here for this to have some value because you could very easily have a sort of stacked control deck where you throw this down and on turn 4 you've got a 1/1 Sylvanas or a 1/1 Ragnaros or something. It's probably not good. Like, objectively, it's not a good card. But if you could build a deck that took advantage of the effect and get lucky, there's definitely some ways that it could be very powerful. I don't think it's going to see a ton of play because, yes, technically speaking, if it's a 1/1 of anything, you do get a 4/5 for 4. If you've got other Battlecry synergies, then maybe you get some extra value. But on the whole, if you haven't very specifically tailored your deck to take advantage of it, I don't see it as being something the average deck that we are aware of today would bother to include.
Okay. JR, what do you want to add to that?
It could be very crazy in N'Zoth style decks for the simple fact that one of the cool things that it does is, it creates a 1/1. You could potentially silence it and give it its full power if you're playing like Priest or something like that. So if it dies and then, you pull another one, you pull the actual card and play that, and then you play N'Zoth later, you get 2 copies of that card at full health. And that's pretty cool. But other than that, it's definitely a build around card. It's something that people will play around with and try to get to work. And there will probably be a few, Barnes, N'Zoth style decks out there that will likely work. But I think the biggest thing you can do with this that would be awesome would be like turn 4 into like 1/1 Ragnaros, 8 damage to the face at the end of turn. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
There seems to be a lot of different synergies, but I think to kind of sum up with what you guys are saying, you need to run strong Death Rattle minions or strong end of turn minions in order to make that really effective. And the question is, are there enough, and is this strong enough to get just a 1/1 version of that? But even, you're right, Ragnaros. What about Cairn killing up that 1/1 and then bringing out a 4/5 Bane could be really cool. Yeah. So there's a lot of really cool ways that this could work.
A turn 4 Yasharaj at the end of turn, getting a 10/10 Yasharaj would be pretty insane.
Yeah, that's totally true. All right, so we got to keep going. We're going to speed through these last few cards, so you guys better be ready. Let's go ahead and do it. So first, Bookworm. It's a 6 mana, 3/6 rare dragon. Reads, if you're holding a dragon, destroy an enemy minion with 3 attack or less. I'm really, 6 mana might be too high. 6 mana might be too high, but at the same time, especially if there's a lot of aggro and mid-range stuff going on, like it might be semi-effective, but is it better than, basically it's a 1/1/1 more for, with that kills something 1 more for a, like a stampeding Kodo, right? Except that there's no ties to what you have in the hand to make that battle cry go off. So,
and Kodo is random, but that actually has better synergy with something like Bran. So I don't know. I mean, I look at this card and I think it's a Twilight Guardian with no taunt that has a Shadow Word Pain attached to it, which means that it actually doesn't have above curve value, which is what makes the whole dragon archetype tick, is that you have to have a dragon in hand, but if you have the dragon in hand, you get more than what you would have gotten otherwise, right? You get the 2/3 whelp on 1, you get the 3/5 guy on 3. You're always getting above stat line by playing the dragon cards. This is not going to be better, right? You're getting the same thing you would have gotten, because most of the classes that can run dragons, right? We think of like warrior, priest, maybe paladin. In priest, I think consistently you would rather run Cabal Shadow Priest on 6. You would rather run, just use your Blackwing Corruptor for removal instead of trying to use this effect. And you can't afford to put down a body that's that slow that late in the game. I just don't see it. I see this as being kind of a trap card for people who really need that extra dragon activator.
JR.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. It's too slow. However, things you can kill with this, if you want to use it, would be things like Violet Teacher, Fandral, Totem Golem, Water Elemental. Those are all good cards that you would want to get rid of. However, I still think Blackwing Corruptor is better because it has more versatility and it's also cheaper, and you get a 5/4 body. You get to do 3 damage to something. I think when Blackrock Mountain rotates out, this card might be a little bit better than what it is right now.
And it's just a tough spot again, right? Like we talked earlier about Ivory Knight on 6 and how that's such a key turn, and there's so many better things, right? That's your Cairn turn, it's your Sylvanas turn, it's your Cabal Shadow Priest turn, it's your Entomb turn. There's so many big cards on 6. This is fighting for that spot, and to get a 3/6 body and a Shadow Word Pain, I don't think is worth it that late in the game.
There is one deck I want to see this in, and I want to see people play around with it. And sorry, Kev, I didn't get your camera in on this one, so I'll fix that. I want to see it in Dragon Druid. If you guys remember, oh my gosh, Vang Swisher was playing around with the Dragon Druid, and he hit top 50 Legend with it. Like, this could be kind of cool if you could cheat it out. Imagine being able to cheat it out on turn 4. Or hit your Wild Growth or whatever, and basically make that on your turn 5. Like, that could be really cool. So that's something I want to see it in. But I think we're all kind of in agreement that it has to be right in order for it to work. All right, 3 mana, 1/1 neutral legendary Morose. He's stealth. At the end of your turn, summon a 1/1 Steward. JR.
I have 2 words for you: Ravaging Ghoul. This will never see play. That's it. I don't like the card. I think it's awful. I'll never play it.
Okay. Kev, what do you think?
I think there's so many better ways to achieve this. If you really wanted to be able to get minions out, like this is a bad Imp Master that's protected from Execute but vulnerable to Whirlwind. It's a bad Imp Gang boss. It's a bad version of... truthfully, Silverhand Regent, I think, is a better way to generate tokens because you get a more valuable body on the board. There's going to be someone who really tries to make this work where you hide this thing and get this 1/1 token that maybe you pair with Steward of Darkshire. There's all these clever synergies people are throwing out. You know, imagine this in a wild deck with Hobgoblin or something. Sure, yeah, there's definitely places where it could be interesting, but fundamentally, it's a bad card. It's a bad card that most people outside of that very specific use case in like wild probably can't make work.
1 health with stealth is still just too easy to remove for too many classes, is really what it comes down to. Like, that's all I would leave it to.
Every tempo deck eats it for breakfast.
Yeah, if this worked with Hobgoblin, it would be awesome, but
Sure.
unfortunately it doesn't.
Save the King. Save the King is a 3-mana rare warrior spell. It says for each enemy minion, summon a 1/1 pawn with Bolster Warrior Taunt. JR, come on.
Yeah, so every expansion, there's always a card that I say, this is going to make
This
Bolster
is going to be
Warrior
the one.
work. This is the card that's going to make Bolster Warrior work.
Okay.
Unleash the Bolster Warriors. That's what I'm naming this card.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's going to be like it's obviously not as good as Unleash the Hounds. If someone is able to get a Bolster Warrior to work, then this will get played. Otherwise, I don't see this getting played.
Cool. Kevin, anything to add? We've got 2 more cards.
Not really. I think that there's maybe the possibility that you run this as an emergency way to protect something really valuable that you've already got on the board. You could kind of run it as a late game combo card to protect something else, or as an answer to a token or zoo deck or something. Okay. But broadly speaking, no.
Okay. All right. Karazhan, 5-mana shaman common spell. Summon a 1/1 candle, 2/2 broom, and 3/3 teapot. Those are not totems there, shaman fans, so don't even ask. 6/6 stats for 5 mana. Not bad from the vanilla test, but man, it's kind of a weird card. What do you think here, Kev?
I actually like it. I mean, I think this is kind of a way for zoo decks to have something that lets them refill the board really easily without costing them a lot of cards. I think there's a really cool potential synergy here where you run Darkshire Councilman on 3 into coin Karazhan, and you end up with basically...
did I said a shaman, didn't I? Sorry, I've got a bad monitor. That's a warlock card, isn't it?
It's a warlock card, yeah.
Sorry,
there's definitely
guys.
like a cool combo there where I think that's the best board you can build on those 2 consecutive turns. And Warlock in particular loves having multiple targets, right? Things you can buff with, Direwolf Alpha and Abusive Sergeants. I don't know that it's great, but Call of the Cutlery or whatever here is pretty okay.
mini Call of the Cutlery. That's what we're calling this episode. Great job. All right. So we got 1 more card left that we needed to hit on, and that's Babbling Book. It's a 1-mana, 1/1 battle cry. Add a random mage spell to your hand. Kevin, scale 1 to 10.
Like a 6. Neat way to just quickly get a spell if you need it in like a tempo mage deck. Kind of a not great turn 1 play, but it's an okay emergency refill play. Objectively probably worse than Ethereal Conjurer and lots of the other things that give you a little more control, but not the worst card that we've seen come out so far.
Cool. JR, scale 1 to 10.
4 maybe. I'd rather play Mana Worm on turn 1. If you're talking about
play
Arena,
both.
If you're talking about Arena, it's a lot better.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to conclude our first week of card reviews. We did a lot. Sorry we had to rush through the last ones. We wanted to hit them all this week, and we got like the big ones we always try to do first. So hopefully we got some good stuff there. But we need to go ahead and get out of here, don't we, guys? Man, what a show. What a day for Well Met. This is really cool to do our Jeopardy episode, sit down, do a show. Thank you so much to everybody who's hanging out with us in chat. We hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed disagreeing with us and agreeing with one of us, disagreeing with the other. That's always a blast. If you like the show and you have some questions, things you want to ask us, we love to get your emails. Send us your emails to wellmet@blizzpro.com. We've got, we just love seeing those. Sorry, I bumped my laptop there. So we love seeing your emails. iTunes reviews, we've got a few. We've first got, I've got to pull up my email here. Sorry, I'm so bad. We had to stretch and make this happen this week. And so it's been really, really freaking busy today. So where did my, oh, that's why I'm an idiot. We have, oh my gosh, somebody Stall, JR. Stall,
Yeah,
tell us about
so-
what your shoutouts.
So, well, actually, I'm going to talk about these iTunes reviews because I know that we got several of them as John is pulling them up to get the names
4.
up. And if you would like to give us an iTunes review, normally I would have this and be able to have the names in front of me, but I didn't get them this week. That was what John is pulling up. I would sit here and badly mispronounce them. If you'd like to give us an iTunes review, definitely head out to iTunes, type in Hearthstone, look for Well Met, and that's where you would find it. And then leave a 5-star review. Tell us some comments about the show, and myself or John will mispronounce your name.
Awesome. Yes, we will. So let's go ahead, bust out these iTunes reviews. So first, they're all USA reviews this week. We've got Danny Donuts _HS. And I love this review. This podcast inspired me to start making my own Hearthstone content. What better compliment can we get than that? Danny, good luck.
And
You're doing great stuff at BlizzPro,
yeah,
right?
Danny Donuts joined us at BlizzPro and is writing good content for us.
Awesome.
So if that's something you want to do, definitely get a hold of me because
Awesome.
you can definitely use more people like Danny.
Love it. We also have Romeo Loves You Too. I don't know if he's talking about like he loves you as well, or if he's saying he loves you too, the band. So we'll have to know about that. And we've got Philly Squirrel and Pillbot GRR. Thank you guys so much for your iTunes reviews. It means the world to us that you guys would take the time out of your day, download iTunes on the devices that you probably don't have iTunes on, and leave us a 5-star review. That's so nice. As far as patrons, we do have one new one, Chris F. Brand new. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much, and thanks for being a patron. If you want to know more about supporting the show, head on over to patreon.com/wellmetpodcast. Find out ways you can get involved. Last but not least, we do want to thank our friends of the show. Again, Martin Z, Albert T, The Real Ben, and Coral. Thank you guys so much for your awesome support of the show. Last minute shout outs before we get out of here. Kev? Oh, sorry. Whatever. Kev first. Go ahead.
All right, I'm going. Some cool new articles coming out. You guys will see those on my Twitter at Lack of Realism. I hope to have some stuff for you right away here. I'm going to be forcing myself to stream Hearthstone this month as a way to try and rank up. So I'm going to stream tomorrow night, Tuesday, August 2nd. If you want to check that out, it'll be at twitch.tv/OdinTV. And I'm just waiting to hear back to confirm, but we're still hoping that in my absence in a couple weeks here for that wedding, that Garrett from the Angry Chicken will come and hang out on the show. So we'll hopefully have a solid yes or no on that next week, but it looks like all signs point to yes.
And if it doesn't happen, blame Kev, because he said he got that taken care of.
Hashtag blame Kev.
Hashtag blame Kev. JR, shoutouts.
Yeah, so not really a shout out, but come join us on the BlizzPro WoW Guild. We're going to start playing tomorrow night, usually after 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we have a guild, a BlizzPro guild over on Verona on the Horde side. So just look up Miari. She is the guild leader, and she will be able to get you in the guild, or try to find anybody else in the guild, and we'll try to get you added and be able to play some Legion here pretty soon. The next thing I want to say is also follow me on Snapchat this week.
What?
Eldorian79. I'm going to have some fun shenanigans on Snapchat.
Serious.
No, I am totally serious. I'm going to have some really fun shenanigans
No.
on Snapchat this week. You guys will definitely want to follow me. I'm not
So our next Well Met Patreon goal is going to be if we get the $500 a month, JR has to delete his Snapchat. So I'm just kidding.
trust me.
I'm excited. It's going to be fun. All right, as for me, I am raising funds to go to TwitchCon. I've been asked to speak at a Growing Your Community with podcasts on Twitch panel with some incredible people from the Lords of the Storm podcast. DJ Tyrant's going to be there, Avison and Trista Ray. I'm really humbled to be a part of that. I'm also, my wallet is really humbled to be a part of that. And so I'm trying to do some more streaming, raise some funds, because it was just kind of an unexpected expense. So if you like the stuff and you want to come hang out on stream, I'm at twitch.tv/kickedtripod. Let's go ahead and get out of here. So that's it for us this week. You can tune in together with your friends live every Sunday on twitch.tv/BlizzPro at 7 p.m. Pacific, or find us on your favorite podcast outlets. For updates throughout the week, follow us on Twitter at WellMetPodcast, and WellMet is entirely supported by our fans. Find out more at patreon.com/WellMetPodcast. We also have merch at store.blizzpro.com. I'm rocking my WellMet shirt right now, guys. It's so comfy. It's American Apparel. Feels really good. Doesn't shrink in the watch, but, stays kind of nice and tight fitting. Gotta love that. And as always, a big thank you to Jake Buttineau at jakebuttineau.ca for our music and Scythe Designs for our graphics. I also wanted to send a very, very, very special shout out. I'm looking it up. It's Brandon. Brandon helped me a ton this week, getting stuff ready to go for Brandon Coker, I guess. Coker. Did some graphic design for us for some frames I'm going to be working together for. And he's also designed the Met Jeopardy logo. So kudos to you, sir. Thank you so much for doing that. That's it for us for episode number 71. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Well Met is a production of BlizzPro.com. The show records live at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at twitch.tv/BlizzPro. To get the latest news and information about the show, follow us on Twitter at WellMetPodcast, or join us on our subreddit at reddit.com/r/WellMetPodcast. If you would like to support the show, you can find out how at patreon.com/WellMetPodcast.